Today, we're talking a little bit more in detail about setting boundaries with other people around your intuitive eating journey. This is a really difficult process, and I think it's important to start there by acknowledging how difficult it is. Women are often not socialized to set boundaries, and when they do set boundaries and then try to maintain them, they're often gaslit, and sort of put in a position of questioning their need to set boundaries and protect themselves or ask specific things from people. So when you decide to start setting boundaries, and I think that this is an important first step in this process, is deciding that you're going to engage with this process, please be patient, offer yourselves lots of self-compassion, and normalize how difficult it is. The next part of this process is really deciding what you're going to say or not say, and in what circumstances you are going to choose to establish these boundaries. So, for example, if when you go to work, the typical way that the lunch break unfolds is that everybody gathers with their takeout or what they brought from home and commence to comparing what they're eating, maybe doing some body bashing, maybe talking about other people's bodies and things like that, right? So if that's the type of setting in which you want to practice establishing boundaries, you can choose how you want to approach it. It might be simply not participating. And that might be a huge change, because if you participated before, you're interrupting the momentum of that habitual process and doing something different. Doing something different is always hard. So it might just be not contributing. And in that way, you're sucking a little bit of the energy out of that conversation. And if people around you are sensitive, they'll notice that you're not contributing, you're not participating. You also have the option of taking a less direct approach by maybe just trying to change the subject or create a diversion. If you are not ready to say something directly to the person or people or topics that feel like they're violating your boundaries, you might just say, hey, has anybody seen the latest Super Pets movie? Or I notice I'm already getting excited about Halloween. I'm always excited about Halloween, so that's not a stretch. If you want to say something directly to people, it might be something along the lines of wanting to change the way you're relating to each other. It might be, hey, you know what? I'm trying something different. Whether or not you share more is up to you. But I wonder, could we try to not talk about food and bodies and diets and things like that when we're having lunch together? Could we just try it for a week and see how we feel? So understanding the situation in which you would like to challenge and set boundaries, and having some thoughts in terms of what you want to say is really helpful. And I invite you to respond to this email or to reply, post comments wherever you can do that, about what words you might use, what specific words you might use, because I think that's really helpful to people to hear. Like, how do I even start to say this? So the first is deciding to establish boundaries. The second is deciding the setting and what action you'd like to take. And then the third part, and I think all three of these are equally difficult. The third part seems to be just letting other people react without backpedaling. So oftentimes we'll say something and then we'll sort of immediately start to deflate it or try to seem less threatening or confrontational. And I think in setting boundaries, an important practice is to say what you have to say. You've given it a lot of thought. I'm sure that you've tried to say it in a way that is assertive, but not aggressive or insulting to anybody, and you have the right to do that. And so what is it then like to just, once you say it, just sit there? And I joke sometimes that you almost have to count in your head, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Give the other parties, person or parties, time and the opportunity to respond, or just to take it in. It might not be the only time that this happens, right? This might have to happen several times before people really start to pick up on it. Often we do need to reinforce our boundaries and defend them repeatedly. But consider how important it is for us all to feel safe and comfortable. And consider how often, when other people violate your boundaries, you're prioritizing their feeling of safety and comfort over your own. And I'm not telling you to chip away at anybody else's sense of safety and comfort. I'm just inviting you to consider prioritizing your own, allowing that to rise to a position of priority. So say what you need to say, and then let them deal with it, right? It might lead to an interesting conversation. It might lead to a little bit of an awkward moment, you know? But if somebody really has trouble respecting your boundaries, then you're not wrong for having voiced them. It just means that there's more work to do. And maybe that work is avoiding a situation because they're just not ready to be respectful. So you have choices. You're likely to have feelings throughout this process. Your meditation practice always supports you to sense and to work with whatever feelings, fear or anticipation, anxiety, sadness, anger, whatever. It's okay to feel those things, and you're capable of tolerating them. And you're willing, in this case, to feel these things in order to start prioritizing your own self-preservation and your own process of rebuilding trust with your mind and your heart and your body. So just some food for thought for this week. And again, please let us know what your specific words are, either the words that you've spoken out loud or even the words that you say in your fantasies that you would love to speak out loud. I would love to hear exactly what you say. Okay. I hope this is helpful.